What you've just seen are snippets of the complete setup, but getting into that wasn't easy, and here's how it went down. Over the past few weeks, I've been transforming different spaces in my house, and with the living room, hallway, and my main office already done, this tiny bedroom was the next in line, but there is a catch. I have to complete the makeover in just 2 days. Having taken a week to complete the living room and hallway, 5 days to complete my main setup, 2 days for this tiny bedroom was going to be a bit of a stretch, and to make the stakes even higher, if I don't complete it in 2 days, I'll be shaving my head bald. If that's what I'm gonna look like, I'd better get to work. With the clock ticking and a vision in mind, day one, my focus was tackling the foundation of the space, and I started by clearing out the space and reimagining how every square inch could serve a purpose. But as I quickly learned, making the most of this tiny room is easier said than done. I only had about 295 centimeters to work with in terms of length and about 264 centimeters in terms of depth. Nonetheless, I got to bring this space to life with a clear vision in mind. A sleek, minimal and functional space, but I had no idea how much I would struggle to get there. For the wall the desk would be against, I wanted something that would be both functional as well as aesthetic and cohesive with the rest of the space, and since oak was already a feature, I opted for oak panels with a grey acoustic backing, and you'll see why a little later in the video. Getting into the nitty gritty, in my experience with slat panels, I've always preferred having a bunch of them side by side, but after trying a staggered design in one of my living room walls, I wanted to try the same, and this is what I envisioned. One complete panel to the left of the main wall, then 2 panels underneath these IKEA lug shelves that would be staggered. A few inches above the shelf right in front of the desk, I'd have an IKEA pegboard populated with different pegboard accessories, then flanking the setup on either side would be these Bauhaus abstract paintings and a single shelf underneath one of the paintings. With that in mind, I used PainterStep to get a rough idea of how everything will be laid out, then jumped on the tools, and that's where I encountered my first challenge. Somehow, despite owning 3 batteries, all of them were flat thanks to a rookie mistake by me. About 3 hours ago, I lined them up in their respective chargers but failed to turn the socket on. There I was staring at the possibility of looking like these in just 2 days, and I was already losing precious time. Off the jump, my frustration was starting to build up, but I had to stay calm and collected, otherwise everything would get derailed. So to get myself out of this hurdle, I charged one for about 15 minutes, and in the event it runs flat before I'm done, the others would carry me on. While they charged, to kill time, I took a short break catching up on what some of my favorite YouTubers had uploaded. Alright, got some juice. Hopefully that's all I need for the front wall. After about 20 minutes or so, off to the wall I went, and luckily I'd already prepped the slat panels with some oak stain, cut them to size, then seal them with polyurethane. I started with the one that would go in the left hand corner, then the one in the middle and far right followed shortly afterwards. From there, I dealt with the lug shelves, and not long after, I ran into another problem. So somehow, after measuring everything properly, I came up short by a few inches, and it just can't go through. And I can't keep making these mistakes if I'm supposed to clear this stuff in 2 days. After a few tweaks, I got it to fit properly, and when I got to the second lug shelf, I'd learned my lesson, and on the first attempt, I got it right, but a new problem arose. My initial layout for the Bauhaus painting would not fit since the lug shelf was pretty much all the way to the wall. Good thing this wasn't that big of an issue. I simply dropped the layout a few inches down. After sorting that out, I turned my attention to the pegboard, and I was super careful because I couldn't afford to mess that part of the wall. 2 drywall mounts and a few screws later, the pegboard hung in wait for the pegboard accessories that would come in a little later in the video. I then added a mushroom lamp that I'll cable manage a little later in the video. At that point, darkness wasn't too far away, but I was determined to make the most of the little time I had left before I downed the tools. So I quickly populated the pegboards, then my attention shifted to the Bauhaus pieces and I mounted one on the slat panel on the left of the wall and the other one on the marked out space to the right of the setup. After that, I mounted this IKEA shelf underneath it, and at that point, the mechanical bit of the front wall was more or less done, so I shifted my attention to the desk. For the desk setup build, because of the size of the desk, during the move I didn't have to pull it apart, and that made things easier as a decent chunk of the job was already taken care of. As for the desk I'm using, it's the Desky dual sit stand desk with a hardwood oak desktop. Size-wise, it's 150cm in length and 75cm deep, which is perfect for a small room like this one since I only had 295cm to work with in terms of length and 264cm in terms of depth. In terms of quality, it's among the best when it comes to sit stand desks, and 7 months on I still can't get enough of how well the grain on the wood flows, and what makes it even more visually striking are its one-of-a-kind imperfections that go hand in hand with the contrasting brown and black streaks on the oak. Underneath the desktop, the Desky dual sit-stand frame made from steel provides a height range for most users by using the control module. As for how it works, it's pretty much the same as most sit-stand desks with programmable buttons that you can set to your preference, but what I like about it is it's not junky and there's no input lag between command and execution of the different prompts you give it. Alright, so it's getting a little bit late and at the moment it's 9:48 p.m. So I'm going to down the tools and pick it up tomorrow on day 2, the final day of the build. So it's the start of day 2, woke up around 7:45. But I'm not going to jump into the tools straight away or making the setup because I need to go to Costco, buy a bunch of items since I'm hosting my friends. So I need to really do that fast, then complete the setup today. On the way there, the journey started smooth, but not long after, I got caught in traffic. My frustration started building up, but luckily, it didn't take long before it busted open like an unclogged pipe. Upon arrival at Costco, I quickly bought what I needed, then headed back home. So I'm back from Costco and it is 12:04 p.m. on Saturday. Got about 10 hours to complete everything. I better get to work. First up were the monitor amp and monitor itself. For the monitor, I thought of switching to the Samsung Odyssey Neo G9, but after placing it on the desk, I didn't like that it pretty much covered the entire desk, so I stuck with the LG 34WQ650, which is an ultra-wide but ideal for a smaller desk like this one. In terms of use case, it's ideal for the average consumer and most professionals. For instance, for the accountants out there, this would be ideal when balancing your ledgers or Excel. Then for the students, you can have multiple windows when doing your research, case in point, Google Chrome on one side, then Microsoft on the other, or alternatively, Pages for those who are using Mac. Speaking of alternatives, I opted to have it on a monitor mount as opposed to using the stand it came with, as this would chew up valuable desk space. For the monitor mount, I'll be using the Desky heavy duty monitor arm because it fits this monitor perfectly, and the best part is it uses a quick release system, so mounting and unmounting the monitor will be so easy. Another reason why I'd recommend a monitor arm is it gives you a variety of adjustment options, whether you want to tilt left or right, change the orientation. It gives you all the options to position the monitor as you please. With the display up and running, the stage was set, but what's the point of having a good monitor without its leading star? Enter the brains of this operation, the Geekom Mini IT13. Now, since in this video I'm mostly covering the setup build, I'll leave the detailed review for the desk setup tour. For those who are keen to know about its specs, at its core, quite literally is an Intel Core i9 processor with 14 cores and 20 threads, capable of boosting up to a staggering 5.4 GHz. To put that into perspective, it's like having the engine of a Ferrari inside a hatchback, like a Vitz. Now, Pair that with 32 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage, and you've got a setup that doesn't just run tasks, it devours them. And I can attest to that, having edited some graphic intense projects on this computer. Despite its tiny form factor, it delivers way more I/O options than I thought possible. Even the new M4 Mac Mini doesn't stand a chance against it. Up front, you've got two USB-A 3.2 ports, a headphone jack, and the power button. Simple, clean, and accessible. But at the back, that's where things get exciting. Two USB-C 4.0 ports capable of supporting up to 8K monitors thanks to their insane 40 gigs of bandwidth. Below that, two HDMI 2.0 ports, meaning this tiny machine can run up to 4 monitors simultaneously. Now, to put that into perspective, for something that fits in the palm of your hand, if this isn't redefining compact power, I don't know what is. Speaking of having no idea of something, I just placed the mini PC there, and the next thing to come in would be the desk shelf, but for whatever reason I have no idea where I put it, and I think during the move I must have placed it somewhere and I just seemed not to remember, and it's really frustrating me. I gotta sort this out, otherwise, man, all this hair is gonna go away in a few hours. It's 1:12 p.m. and I gotta complete this today. So there's no way it would be located here. Let me try and check some of the other bedrooms. In here are a bunch of my other office items. This room is not organized yet, and you only got boxes here for the monitors, PC build components, my light, the fractal mode, nothing else. Oh god, it's really getting frustrating. The other possible location would be the garage, and the way things are so jumbled up in here, it's gonna be a nightmare trying to find it. By the way, sorry about the mess, guys. Let me know if you'd like to see a makeover of this place. Oh man, this is getting really frustrating. Why did I even say I was going to shave my head? I don't think I should have said that. It was now mid-afternoon and I had only made a dent in the desk setup build, with a host of things waiting to be put in order, and once again I stared down the potential of losing my hair in the next 7 or so hours. With that reality in sight, I was at a point of despair. Then something told me to check the garage properly, but once again, with the way everything was all over the place, it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. As I searched for it in the different piles, I couldn't understand how a simple makeover was turning into a nightmare, to the point where I was thinking of just carrying on with the rest of the build and leave the desk without a desk shelf until a ray of hope struck. Just when I'd lost hope of everything, something is sticking out. Look at that. That boy was down here all that time. Good. A bit dusty, but that's fine. I'm gonna just give it a wipe. Alright, let's go back to the office. With no more time to waste, I gave it a good wipe and onto the desk it went. With one accessory in and not much time on my side, it was time for the rest of the accessories and peripherals to roll in, and first up was this wool felt desk pad I got from Amazon. This was going to provide the much needed visual structure the desk would need, and on top of it sat the Lofree Flowlight mechanical keyboard. If I were to describe it in a few words, it's a stunning blend of sleek design and cutting edge technology that will give you the ultimate typing experience. Again, since the focus of this video is mainly the setup build, make sure you subscribe for the in-depth desk setup tour. As for specs, it's powered by the Spectre Switch, a custom creation from Lofree and Cal, which is made using the patented Shadow Series full POM low profile switch, and this enables this keyboard to deliver whisper quiet yet ultra smooth keystrokes. Coming in at just 643 grams with a Bluetooth range of 15 meters, it makes for the perfect companion if you prefer a standalone keyboard while remotely working. Speaking of the perfect companion, a keyboard isn't complete without a mouse, and for the Lofree Floor Light mechanical keyboard, the Lofree PBT wireless mouse is the perfect companion. From the moment you lay eyes on it, the sleek retro-inspired design grabs your attention. I like the idea of giving a nod to the past while still giving a firm grip of the future thanks to all the features it comes with. Whether you're grinding through a workday or diving into a gaming session, this mouse adapts, giving you the performance without compromise, although for gaming, I'd leave it at just casual gaming. For those wondering about its battery life, on a single charge it can last up to 3 months, which if you'd ask me is super generous compared to most mice in the game. Speaking of generosity, the Xiaomi Monitor Lite is both generous to your pocket and the amount of light it dishes out to protect your eyes. Coming in at nearly a fifth of the price the Screen by Halo costs, it works just as well. Function-wise, it's got an asymmetric light pattern that minimizes glare on the screen, and the coolest thing about it is its wireless controller. I like how I can place it anywhere on the desk and it looks awesome and clean without a cable attached to it. On top of it, I mounted the Obsbot Tiny 2 Lite, which is a lot more affordable compared to most AI-powered webcams. Thanks to its 4K resolution, you'll be getting crystal clear visuals that capture every detail when performing any of the tasks I just mentioned, and its magic doesn't stop at video quality. It also features intelligent auto tracking, which ensures the camera follows your every move, keeping you centered whether you're pacing during a presentation or choreographing a TikTok dance. Next in line was the Fifine Tank 3 USB microphone, and this is another affordable desk setup microphone that delivers really good quality sound. Designed for the regular consumer, creators, podcasters, streamers, etc., this mic combines the convenience of USB connectivity with the high quality audio XLR, making it an absolute steal for the average consumer. Talking of absolute steals, these edifier speakers are exactly that, and I placed them on these speaker stands for the ideal speaker angle. For just 176 Australian dollars, you'll not only be getting good quality speakers, but also a variety of colorways to choose from. So if you want to match the aesthetic of your setup, you won't have any problems. Speaking of matching the aesthetic of your setup, this humidifier from Drio fit the bill perfectly thanks to its minimal design and compact size, but that's not its biggest advantage. On days when the air is a bit dry, more so in summer, the plants that will come in a little later will be in paradise. At that point, most of the accessories and peripherals were already in place, and even though the monitor by itself was more than enough, I opted to add a second monitor which I planned to mostly use for photo editing and content consumption. The monitor I opted for was the UMax 22 from UPerfect. For the spec nuts out there, it comes with a resolution of 2560 by 1440p and a color gamut of 100% sRGB, which for the average consumer is pretty much you all need, given the fact that for the most part you'll use it for content consumption, casual gaming, and doing some work or assignments if you're a student. Just a side note, for a parent looking to get their kid a small monitor, this would pass with flying colors. Speaking of flying colors, my goal of completing the setup build in 2 days wasn't quite flying with colors, as darkness wasn't too far away and I still had a fair bit to take care of, not to mention I had a package that hadn't arrived yet. With that in mind, I had to ramp up the speed in order to complete the accessory bit of the desk, and next in line was this filing cabinet from Desky. Now, if you'd ask me, every great workspace needs a piece that ties it all together. Something that's not just functional but elevates the entire setup, and this piece does exactly that. With its timeless design and impeccable craftsmanship, it's more than just an accessory. Beyond its aesthetic appeal, it offers ample room to organize documents, stationery, and essentials, transforming your desk into a haven of order. I suppose you've come across the saying, a decluttered desk equals a decluttered mind. Putting that advice into play, I had to clean up the cable mess, and I started underneath the desk, then from the monitor to the PowerPoints, and finally, following the rule of thumb when it comes to cable management, only one cable coming from the desk, and I hid it in this cable vertebrae. Cumulatively, it took me about 40 minutes to organize all the cables. Organization aside, the final piece to come in was the Gia Executive Office Chair, and let me tell you this chair exceeds premium vibes and unmatched comfort. If you've been around the channel for a while now, you might recall seeing a dedicated video I did on it a few months back. After using it for a little over 7 months, I had to get a similar one for my main setup, and in case you missed the video, I'll leave a link in the description box. When it comes to build quality, it's stellar, combining soft sharper fabric with a robust alloy steel frame capable of holding even the heaviest of bodies. At 107 kilograms, I'm definitely putting it to the test. As for durability, this chair delivers, promising you longevity and consistent comfort, and with a 1-year warranty backing it up, you've got peace of mind knowing you're covered in case any surprises pop up. Speaking of surprises, this footrest was a surprise addition, but for the ergonomics it adds, I couldn't say no to it. Alright, so it's 5:16 p.m. day 2, and as you can see, I've done most of the accessories, but I've got one problem. The package I talked about a little earlier hasn't arrived, and that's the LED corner lights I'm going to be adding since I'm about to deal with decor, lighting and plants. Now, with the deadline getting closer, I had to carry on with the rest of the setup build, hoping the lights would arrive before the deadline. First up was the Govee LED strip behind the desk, then I mounted these spark lights on top of the Bauhaus frames. From there, I placed these IKEA lamps on the shelf underneath one of the Bauhaus paintings. The mushroom lamp, as you saw, went in a little earlier so that I could pass this cable behind the shelf. From there, my attention shifted to the plants, and over here, I started by placing a few plants on the shelves. Then on top of the filing cabinet, I placed a rubber plant, and in the left corner, a peace lily on an elevated plant pot. In the little space on the wall to the left of the desk, I hung 2 plants in coconut fiber baskets, then finished off by placing this vintage typewriter on the lark shelf, just like I did in my main setup. Alright guys, so as you can see, the setup is pretty much done, but the LED corner lights haven't arrived yet, and it's 6:09 p.m. and the ETA for delivery was 7 p.m. So I'll hang on a little bit longer, maybe watch something on the TV, and hopefully it arrives in the next hour or so, otherwise my hair is gone. The longer it took, each minute felt like an eternity, and it was starting to feel like the setup build was slipping out of my grasp. Alright guys, waited for over an hour. It's 7:05 and the package hasn't arrived, so like promised, after 8 years I get a shave my head. God man, what did I do? Alright, this is it guys. Huh? I should never have done it. I hope. I think that's the package, but the damage is already done. I'll show you guys in just a bit. There's the proof for delivery. Look at that. Alright, regardless, I'm still gonna have to finish the setup, then I'll sort that out later. There you have it guys, the setup is now complete, and this is the perfect time for the reveal, but just assume this bit of my head has hair for the remainder of the video. Alright, there you have it peeps. After giving myself the challenge to complete this tiny bedroom transformation in just 2 days, I managed to do so, but in the process, I've been left with a bald patch. Hence the reason why I didn't feel the need to set up nice moody lighting for this outro. My bald patch aside, I hope you enjoyed and found this video helpful. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click the notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. If you go to this point of the video, I'd assume setup makeovers are your thing. So to keep your entertainment rolling, here's a setup makeover of my living room and hallway, and here's a setup makeover of my main office area. Until then, people of the internet, see you in either of those two videos.